Mock draft week carries on with picks 7 through 12 next on Locked On NBA Draft with no ceilings.
You are Locked On NBA Draft with no ceilings. Your daily podcast on the future stars of the NBA. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA Draft with no ceilings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. My name is Tyler Metcalf. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Join me as always, my co-host Tyler Rucker. Rucker, scale of 1 to 10. How pumped are you for a little bit of chaos?
10. I love chaos. We love anarchy around here. So another beautiful week of talking basketball and talking hoops with you, Metcalf. It's gonna be an exciting one.
Yeah, and we got mock draft week this week, and we mixed up the order a little bit, get a few different opinions and voices and picks, and as I mentioned, chaos earlier on. So today we got picks 7 through 12. Nathan and Maxwell kicked off the week 1 through 6, and they mixed things up a little bit. Not to like a staggering degree. I was expecting a little bit more chaos, for lack of a better word. But they kept it shockingly tame with a little like, oh, okay, interesting. So at pick number 1, they went Cam Boozer to the Pacers. At number 2, Darren Peterson to the Kings. At number 3, AJ DeBonsa to the Wizards. So far, not overly shocking. But at 4, Kingston Flemings to the Hawks. A little bit of an eyebrow raiser. At 5, Caleb Wilson to the Nets. 6, Keaton Wagler to the Jazz. Thoughts?
I think at first people will hear that and be like, "Whoa, that's a real big curveball," obviously. But it's important for everyone to remember, like, hey, we're in January still. It's time to kind of educate yourself on what other directions, what curveballs, what swings could happen, and all of these guys up there are well worthy of a team just being like, "Hey, we're in love with them." So, would I be shocked? No. Would I be a little pleasantly surprised? Yes. But, we still got a long way to go. So it's fun to do some of these mock drafts to be like, let's shake it up a little bit. Let's have some fun. And then people are like, what are you doing? This would never happen. And you're like, way to really go on a limb there. So I love it. I think it's great. I love the Wagler pick. I think that's a real one. That's like a curveball, but I'm like, hey, is it that crazy? It could happen very easily. So it's been fun.
Yeah. And I kind of have Wagler in the similar range, not quite at 6 yet, but he's crept into my top 10. So I don't think that it's really that outlandish. It's fun. I like that fit too with the Jazz, but there were some very obvious names missing from that group, like a Michael Brown, like a Darius Acuff, like a Jane Quaintance, Nate Ament, Koa Pete. There are a lot of names now that we're picking up in picks 7 through 12, that we kind of have some fun talent to go after. And we're just going to dive right in at pick 7, the Charlotte Hornets. I'm on the clock, and I'm just going to go best player available here, at least in my eyes. I'm going Michael Brown. I know that he might not be an obvious fit necessarily, but I think he can play on ball. He can play off ball. I like him as a backup point guard early in the LaMelo era. There's been weird rumblings here and there, and depending on who's reporting or rumor mongering you want to believe, that LaMelo may not be there long term. Who knows? Regardless, whether he is or he isn't, I think Michael is one of those guards that can fit basically with whatever they're doing. Once the shooting comes around, like I think and hope it will, all of his numbers are going to look really good. The at-rim finishing is improved. The foul drawing is improved. The playmaking has been stellar. It's just shot selection and shot efficiency that just hasn't been there yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been out nursing a back injury. He hasn't played since December 13th. But, as we're recording this morning, kind of tweeted out, and, one step closer, been working extremely hard to get back to as soon as possible. And great news, I'll be practicing this week. See y'all soon. So very exciting stuff, because I think once Michael gets back, I still think the best basketball hasn't been on display yet with his game. And if he's healthy and puts a nice little stretch together, I think people are going to be shocked of just how dangerous of a player he is in a positive way, when it comes to the offensive firepower. So I think that's the one that I could believe the noise starts picking up again, where it's like, oh, Michael's getting top 5 buzz again. Like we're back now after, it's been a little bit more quiet, but the upside in potential with his game is that special. So getting him where you got him in this draft, I think you'd be doing a backflip.
Yeah, and it's going to be I cannot wait to see how this point guard class falls. Well, once we actually get to draft night, because there's a lot of basketball left to be played, a lot of things to fall into place with the lottery and all that, but it's going to be really, really interesting. All right, at pick number 8, Dallas Mavericks. Speaking of potentially needing a point guard, Dallas Mavericks are on the clock. You're on the clock. Tyler Rucker, what direction you going in?
Look, if I'm the Mavericks, I'm pretty ecstatic that, the pick before, I'm like, hey, we could get one of these two guys. Whoever's going to, whoever Charlotte potentially is going to pick, we have one falling into our lap. So I'm going to go with Darius Acuff. I think he's been one of the best guards this year in terms of, really just being efficient, like the consistency with his game. Arkansas has lost a couple tough games, but you look up and you're like, Acuff still going to work, still doing a good job. So people could point and be like, hey, he might be a little undersized. He might, what type of defensive talent is he? Okay, fine. You can nitpick that way, but also what type of player is he on the offensive side of the ball? He's a heck of a playmaker. He's a heck of a table setter, and he knows how to get to his spots, and he's tough and strong. So I think Acuff's answered a lot of my concerns going into the year, and I think he's going to, keep getting better. So I think this is a good spot.
Yeah, I think that makes almost too much sense, especially for the Mavs. Big upside swing, position of need, exactly what you want from an early lottery draft pick. And it's been really interesting with Acuff recently because like his last 4 or 5 games, the outside shot we're starting to see tail off a little bit. 2 of 7 against Georgia, 1 of 4 against South Carolina, 2 of 6 against Auburn, 1 of 4 against Mississippi. But he's still getting to the line a lot in those games. 4 of 4, 3 of 3, 3 of 3, 11 of 12. Crashing the boards. The playmaking continues to be really impressive, and he's scoring. The problem is Arkansas is not winning a ton, or they went 2-2 in their last 4. That Auburn game you would have expected them to win. That Georgia game I think was one that realistically they probably should have been in a little more. But then you look at the rest of the shooting performances from that team, and it's getting kind of rough. So for whatever shortcomings Arkansas is having recently, I don't think any can really be put on the shoulders of Acuff.
Completely agree.
All righty. Well, we'll move on to picks 9 through 12 right after a quick word. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing gets missed. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free plus try Quo for free plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Alrighty, next up, the Milwaukee Bucks. I hated having this pick. I really didn't know what direction to go in, because I don't know what this team is going to look like in a few months. And
this is where things get weird.
It was very weird. There were a lot of names I looked at and had to be talked off the ledge by myself of like, no, you do not do this right now. It got ugly. It took me way too long as I'm filibustering here again. But I'm just gonna go pure upside swing. I I looked at it and said, I have no idea what this roster is. I have no idea what they're trying to build into. I have no idea what their identity is. So let's just take the biggest lottery ticket home run swing possible at this point. And for me at 9, that was Jay Quain's sophomore center at Kentucky.
I get it. Look, if you're looking at a guy that potentially has as much upside as anyone in the top, let me fix that. He's got like top 5 upside potentially. If we're looking back at a redraft, maybe we're looking and saying like Quentin should be a top 5 pick. Right now, we have a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, but at some point, if he's on the board, I think if you're a team, you're like, normally we're not usually getting this at 9. So for a team like Milwaukee, which we don't know what this team's going to look like, as you keep saying, that's worth the swing. Even if you've got Miles Turner, whatever, you're not passing up talent upside like that at such a young, he's going to be 18 when he's drafted. So
yeah,
I get it. And it's just amazing how quickly this has changed with Quaintance of like, I don't know, man. Like that's a wild. He could be there right now. Right now, we're like, hey, he could be there.
And just a couple weeks ago, or the last mock draft we did, took him at 5, and it's like, oh my god, take the swing. Look at how he just dominated St. John's, and since then it's been all downhill with him. Really inconsistent performances, and now he's missing a couple games because of knee soreness, and that really concerns me. So obviously, there's going to be a lot with medicals and all that kind of stuff, and desperately praying that everything comes back green and everything looks perfect. Because when he's right, it looks like that St. John's game where he's dominant on both ends of the floor, controlling the paint on both ends of the floor, generating extra possessions, being an explosive finisher, incorporating some fun passing stuff into his game as well. But when it's not, it's been tough. And I want to chalk that up to early season rust, him not being 100% healthy yet. But there's still so much to go. And with the Bucks, their defense has been brutal this year. I don't think Bobby Portis is long for that team. Miles Turner is fine. Like I get why they paid him, because it's like, oh well, it's a slightly younger, or it's a younger Brook Lopez, and we'll just bring him in here and it's going to be fine. Well, he also has like a 20 to 25% trade kicker on that contract. So it's like, oh, good luck moving that. But their defense has been brutal. And so at a minimum, if you can bring in an 18-year-old who can potentially be a cornerstone of a really good defense and an elite individual defender, it feels like a pretty easy, or at least it feels like a pretty easy building block, and one that can give you more flexibility in terms of roster construction going forward.
Metcalf, good pick.
All right. Well, at pick number 10, Memphis Grizzlies are on the clock.
So, yeah, you know how you didn't like your pick and you felt I'm right there with Memphis at 10. Look, we've done a ton of these mock drafts already this year, and I feel like we keep putting the same names there. I feel like Yaxel Lindenberg's getting a lot of buzz there as like, hey, Memphis might like the analytics. We've seen them kind of lean that way all the time in their recent draft history. I want to go a different direction. I'm tired of putting the same people in the same places. So I'm trying to figure out like, well, what could Memphis do here that's kind of dipping into their specialty while also sprinkling some like, hey, let's swing a little bit. Let's get some younger upside to put alongside Cedric Coward, to put alongside Zach Edey, to maybe your mini rebuild, you're going to speed it up in a hurry. So I'm going to swing a little bit. Some people might not be familiar with this name, but I think this is going to be a name that is in this conversation if he keeps this up. I'm going to go with Amari Allen from Alabama. Forward, 6'8", freshman, very versatile two-way player. I just was sitting there saying, man, if I could get Amari Allen alongside Cedric Coward for years to come, we got something fun on the perimeter with the wings and everything. So whatever they do with Ja Morant, whatever they're doing, if Jaren Jackson is also on the way out, you still potentially could have Zach Edey, Amari Allen, Cedric Coward, and not to mention all those young pieces they got, kind of blossoming right now. So I like this fit.
I love that swing, and I kind of wish I did that for Milwaukee. bring the
No
Wisconsin
take
kid
backs.
back home.
No take backs. No.
Not from Milwaukee, but from Green Bay. That's fun. And God, Amari Allen, just his numbers just steadily keep getting better too. So 6'7" freshman at Alabama, BPM of 8.7, effective field goal rate 54.3, rebounding rates of 6.7 on offense, 18.7 on defense, 18.2 assist rate for a toolsy, versatile forward. Love that mark. It'll be interesting to see if that kind of creeps over that 20 threshold, but with Holloway and Phylon's ball dominance, maybe not. But that block rate of 3, steal rate of 2.1, 37% from 3, 53% from 2. He's just one of these guys that does a little bit of everything and does it all at a pretty efficient level. So he also feels like one of these guys too, where once you incorporate or let him off the leash a little bit and let him explore some other areas of his game, that he could really, really blossom into way more than we might potentially be thinking.
I think this is a guy, if you're looking for a darling out of the top 5 that we could look back down the road and be like, wow, he really turned into something. I think Amari Allen could be that. Because look, you look at his numbers on the year, it's around 11, 7, and 3 on 45, 36, 74. His last 6 games, he's 14, 9, and 3. So like he rebounds tough, but that's on 46, 43, 78. So like Amari Allen's, he had a strong start at one point this year, kind of cooled down. Now he's really taken that game to another level. So I think you're going to start seeing that's a popular name mentioned by a lot of us.
How do you think he could get this high on draft night, or do you think he could go even higher?
I think he could go a little bit higher. Now he needs to do this for a long time moving forward, but that's the part of the
3-point rate to jump up a few notches.
And, Metcalf will obviously talk about this in depth eventually, but like, I think that's the part of the draft where the questions arise.
Yeah.
We're always waiting and scouts are waiting, or we're talking to people around the league where it's like, there's always a range where like, that's where the discussion opens up. I think when you get to like that 9-10 range where you're like, hey, I'm familiar with these guys. I also wonder if, we had Keaton Wagler a couple weeks ago was getting in that range. Now we're thinking maybe he could get higher. Now it's like, could Amari Allen get up into this conversation? So I could see him getting there, especially with, the pre-draft process, interviews. If all that goes well, we've seen how quickly guys' stock can just soar. So I could see him going here or earlier.
And high field wings who do a little bit of everything, they're really valued by NBA teams, and just basically, I'm not saying they're 1-for-1 players, but almost cloning Cedric Howard and having 2 of him on the court at all times sounds kind of fun to me.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but you've always said like this draft class depth at the wing position, not strong. So that's why I think he's got everything's moving in his favor right now.
Agreed. Well, let's get to the Oklahoma City Thunder at pick 11, the Chicago Bulls at pick 12, right after this. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Alrighty. Oklahoma City Thunder up at pick 11. What do you give the team that has everything?
So frustrating every year.
If people, screw it. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to get a little bold. I'm going to get a little aggressive here. And a lot of people may not love this, especially if you aren't familiar with his game. If you thought Keaton Wagler was a reach, if you thought Amari Allen was a swing, I'm going to go Morez Johnson. Big man.
Oh, gosh, here we go.
At Michigan.
This is the best mock ever. This is the chaos mock. I love it. I love it, Metcalf. That's a great pick. It's a really good pick.
I'm going to keep saying this till the cows come home. But Morez Johnson continues to be the most underrated player in this draft cycle. He's insanely physical, awesome rebounder on both ends of the floor, really good scoring touch, is shooting, I believe, over 80% from the line this year. I buy the outside shot. The form looks good. The willingness is improving. And I think the willingness is more so offensive scheme and offensive role rather than personal confidence or anything like that. Scoring touch looks really good. Super versatile defender. If he came into the year that with these same expectations and pedigree and name that Jane Quain's had, I think Morez Johnson would be widely considered a top 10 guy right now.
Look, I also think, like we've said it multiple times, but you can look at all the advanced numbers. They're going to point in Morez's favor very favorably. You can watch the film. It's all outstanding. The defensive side of the ball is really, really impressive. He's a smart player, rotations, like timing. It's great. He doesn't always go for the emphatic blocks too. He stays straight up instead of chasing. Turnovers are low. The numbers have climbed steadily each month. He's efficient. He shows that he might have a little ability to pick and pop. Like, he doesn't take a ton of them, but if you leave him open, he can hit it. And he's a big man that's almost he's been hovering at 80% from the free throw line all year. That's a big, big plus. Yeah. So his last 5 games, he's 15-7 with a block a game on 70% from the field and almost 80% from the free throw line. I think those numbers would have spiked if he wasn't with Adai Mara, Yaxel Lindenberg, 2 other first-round guys that hover around the basket to get rebounds. Every time his numbers are down, you look at their team, and all those other guys had big, huge box scores, but his impact was still great. So if you chase game logs, if you chase the box scores with Morez, you're going to miss the whole story of his impact. And I think that's why this isn't a crazy pick. This is also the team that says, we don't care. We love Morez, and he's a great piece. So, like, he's gigantic. He's listed at 6'9". People might be like, that's a little undersized. He's also 255 with good feet and good hands, good instincts. Like, he's a tough big man. So I love this. Some will say it's aggressive. I think it's great because go get your guy at the end of the day.
And I think the 6'9" instead of 6'11" listing makes a whole lot less difference once or if he actually starts shooting.
Yes, I agree with that.
And I think he will. Not Karl Anthony Towns levels, but enough that defenders have to respect him out there. The passing has to improve still. We still get some flashes of it. Still needs a lot of work in that area, but he's also not put in a position to ever do that on Michigan because they have one of the best playmaking bigs in the country in Adai Mara and Yaxel Lundeberg and Elliot Cadeau at running point, LJ Kaysen at point. So like they have a lot of other playmakers out there, so he's not asked to do it. We get occasional flashes, but short roll stuff, it all has to improve. He's starting to get into some foul trouble recently here too, which is something to keep an eye on. But there's just way more to this guy's game than he tends to get credit for.
Big time performances against some tough teams too. I mean, you look at USC, he was 10 of 12 from the field with 29 points. TCU 10 and 12. Like couple of these games, you get 2-3 blocks. Like he's just a smart player. Doesn't turn the ball over a ton. I just really like Morez's game. I think he can play, against Gonzaga earlier in the year. He had 3 blocks, was 11 and 5. He's efficient. He doesn't need a lot of touches to get an impact in the game. So I think that's a great one.
All right. Chicago Bulls, pick number 12. What direction are you going?
I don't know.
What do you give the team that has?
Nothing? I think if I was in the Bulls front office and they're like, what direction are you trying to go? I'd be like, I have no idea. Because I don't know what this team's doing all the time.
Well, who's gonna give you the best shot at just perpetually making the playing game?
That's a great little bit right there. Look, on a serious note, for my Chicago fans out there, who I love those guys, they're great. I think you got to get talent. You got to get best player available. I also would like someone that I think has a really high floor. So I'm chasing upside here a little bit, but I also think this is a safe pick in my opinion, that could be a slam dunk selection at this point. I'm going to go Braylon Mullins of UConn.
Okay.
He's one of my guys. I love him. He's really smart basketball player on both sides. If you're looking for a pro comp, I think this is Tyler Hero, but with way more athleticism, and he could play some legit defense on ball. I think he gets a little handsy, but it's one of those, like, you just need to calm him down. He's always fired up. So Chicago keeps staying in there, just trying to get to that playing game. I'm trying to get someone that's going to be around for a while. I think Mullins, with his shooting, his scoring gravity, his intelligence off the ball too, I think it would be a very nice addition here. So I like that fit, which it means it won't happen at all, but I like this fit for the Bulls.
And he's just such a nasty shooter, such a good off-ball mover. The defense continues to be one of my favorite aspects of his game. I do think the handsiness will probably be a problem early, but I think
Yes.
it'll get cleaned up once he gets a little stronger. Still a little skinny, but not really worried about the competitiveness or the fundamentals or anything like that. So it's pretty easy to put muscle on guys in the NBA. Little tougher to teach them how to do stuff, which I don't really worry about with Mullins. I do wish he needs to start getting to the rim like ever. And hopefully teams
We're getting there.
No, I know, but I just need him to like hit these defenders with the back cut every now and then,
Yes.
And also his teammates need to find him on those back cuts, which they don't. But yeah, and it's still a little too perimeter oriented, and I just feel like he's like whatever's going on with direction or his decision making in those off ball situations, he's just leaving so much of his game on the table by not implementing that, because it also takes away from a lot of his passing capabilities as well.
I agree. I think this is a player, if you're catching up, he was ankle injury beginning of the year, delayed his start to the season by like 6 weeks, I think. And once he got back, it seemed like UConn was sort of just leaning heavy on like the floor spacer, like where you bombs away, and now you're starting to see they're giving him a little bit more. He's playing more minutes. I think we got a couple months where things could get really interesting, but I'm with you. I'd love to see him get to that free throw line a little bit more. I'd love to see him just have some more like backdoor cuts. Because he's got some athleticism, he's got some pop. In high school, they're throwing lobs for him all the time. Like, he can get up, he can get a little nasty, but I think we're seeing just teases of what his game has already. So it's going to be interesting to see. I still think this is the one that can make a little bit of some late noise to charge up some ranks.
Well, it's also going to be really interesting to see how the rest of this first round falls, because there's still a lot of talent left on the board. Neo Avdilas, Hannes Steinbeck, Koa Pete, Daimara, Thomas Hauk, Yaxel Lundeberg, Bennett Sturz. There's so much talent left in this first round. Can't wait to see how it all unfolds. We'll be back on Thursday. He is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker. I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at TMetcalf11. But until Thursday, thank you for listening to Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings and making us your first listen every day.